Give them some love. Let's give Marianne Lewis some love for holding this all together. All of our musicians and singers and choir members and our magnificent dancers and our wonderful youth participants. Give them a big shout out. And give the roadies some love. Created to glorify the power and the presence and love of God. One more time, a great round of applause for our musicians, Marianne Lewis, and all of those who have not only prepared the field, but who are radiating the field of love and beauty and intelligence, glorifying the living presence. Today, on our celebration of our own resurrection, allowing for Yeshua ben Joseph, Jesus the Christ, to be the living example of a blueprint that has been moved into the newest sphere of the planet, allowing us to follow that dynamic blueprint so that we too can resurrect and regenerate our life moment by moment, coming to a greater understanding that there is no circumstance, no situation, no person, place, or thing that can hinder the great destiny that lies within each and every one of us. As we are celebrating this day, we're keenly aware, of course, that Easter always falls upon the Sunday after the vernal equinox, after the full moon. This is why every year it's always on a different date, so that it has nothing to do with the fact that Jesus the Christ was crucified or resurrected on a Friday and resurrected on a Sunday, because that doesn't make any sense, because if he was killed or crucified on a Friday and 3 days later, that would be a Monday. So we're keenly aware that this is a blueprint superimposed upon the master teacher that has more to do with the cycles of the earth, that represents in spring and time is the answer to the seeds that have been buried and the trees who have lost their leaves during winter, and the springtime is the answer to that. That there is a resurrecting, regenerating spirit that happens, you see? And that this master teacher, which is the example of a resurrection, not special, exceptional, yes, but an example of the great possibility that lies within each and every one of us. This Palestinian Jewish man that opened up to the great possibility of his oneness with the presence, created in the noosphere, the mental atmosphere of the planet, the spiritual idea that there's something about us that is indestructible, incorruptible, that cannot be denied. And just as years ago, the man Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, something that was supposed to be impossible at that particular time in human history, and months after that and weeks after that, so many people broke that mile because there was an example of breaking that particular barrier. Well, Yeshua ben Joseph brought forth the consciousness of not only a oneness with God, but a resurrecting spirit that is in each and every one of us as a shining example as to what is within us. So we're not here as a teaching merely believing in Jesus, of which we do, but we're keenly aware that Jesus believes in us. Jesus believes in you, your destiny, your divinity, your goodness, your resurrecting spirit. Thus, greater things than these can you do if you but believe it and feel it in your soul, you see. And so we're here celebrating that dynamic. And so when we come to an understanding that human beings go through a possibility of 4 dimensions of thinking. One is called concretizing. In the evolutionary scheme of things, human beings have concretized the presence of God. And that is, if I say God, some people think of a man. they concrete the infinite into a limited perception. Or they'll do figures, or they'll draw pictures, or they'll have depictions of God. They'll concretize it. And then as we evolve a little bit in our human domain, we go into abstract thinking. We can kind of think about it. We can have opinions and points of view and all kinds of perceptions about the presence of God. We can enter into intellectual debates and have all kinds of abstract ideas about it. And then as we pray, as we meditate, as we go deeper, we begin to go into what is called artistic perceptivity. And that is, we begin to pierce the veil of concretizing God. We go beyond abstract thinking about it, and we begin to perceive and catch the invisible, the inaudible. It becomes music. It becomes art. It becomes a revelation of choreography that you've seen here today. It becomes something different. And if we go a little bit deeper, as Jesus did, you come into what is called spiritual discernment, of which Jesus didn't write a book on the Sermon on the Mount. To Reverend Joanne, you know this. He didn't concretize the presence of God. He didn't have abstract thinking. He gave parables that gave clues to the ineffable and the invisible. He said in substance, my life is the gift. My life is the answer. He lived in artistic perceptivity, and he lived in spiritual discernment, saying, my life is the way, the truth. How I lived and how I expressed is the answer, you see. And so we, as we're meditating, as we're praying, as we're studying, as we are in service, we break free from concretizing the presence of God, having mere abstract thinking about it. And we begin to go into artistic perceptivity and spiritual discernment, so that we, like Jesus the Christ, Yeshua, can begin to perceive differently that all of life is rushing to this place called us, to come into a great knowing of itself through and as us. And he left today what are called Jesus Genius Codes for our own resurrection. So we're not merely celebrating the resurrecting spirit of all of nature rising up during the springtime. We're not merely celebrating the resurrection of Yeshua ben Joseph, who proved life eternal, who proved that the life within us is indestructible, undeniable, who proved in substance not to be afraid of those who can kill your body, but to save your soul. In other words, to allow your soul to unfold, to glorify the presence of God. Don't be worried about tomorrow, but to stand in the greater awareness of your oneness with the presence and the power of the love of God. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? Are you catching this? And so when we understand there's certain codes that were left, we always come to an awareness that as he was meditating and retooling his spirit, and the 40 days and the 40 nights in the wilderness, of which we all must do. We all must retreat from the world on a regular basis. We all must retreat from our own thinkingness. We all must retreat from the world as it is displayed by the media. We must retreat. And for 40 days and 40 nights, he was retreating, and he was going in and retooling his spirit and anchoring himself in the awareness of his oneness with God, that he would be rightly prepared for his mission on the planet. And as that occurs, everyone who knows, who's gone on a meditation retreat, everyone knows that when you begin to meditate, there is a rising up and a gushing up of all that would hinder you for the next great expression of yourself. It's called the ego. The ego does not want you to expand. The ego does not want you to explore the unknown. The ego does not want you to go out of your present point of view. It can't control you in the unknown. It can't limit you when you're exploring the dimensions of your own soul. And so, as the case with Jesus, the ego rose up, sometimes called Satan. The ego rose up and said, yo, you've been out here meditating for a number of days, fasting, retooling your spirit. I know you're hungry. Ain't nobody out here on the desert. Why don't you go ahead and turn that stone to bread and eat it? Come on now. Yes, you will. And later on in the future, they're going to put a J on your name and call you Jesus. But I know who you are. You Yeshua ben Joseph from Nazareth. I know who your mom and daddy is. Listen, just go ahead and turn that stone to bread. Ain't nobody out here looking, man. And he said, get thee behind me, ego. Not live by bread alone, but by the every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. I can live directly from the luminosity of the Spirit. I can live directly from God. I can live directly from the power and the presence. The field of living intelligence can feed me. Interestingly enough, we're living in a day and a time now in which it has been proven, even by our own godfather of epigenetics, Dr. Bruce Lipton, who shares that 20% of the energy that you get during the day comes from food, and the rest of it comes directly from the field. The field, the quantum field, feeds you directly through your melanin and gives you more energy than food can ever give you if you will but be still and know that the presence of God is within you. So Yeshua ben Joseph knew this. He says, hey, listen, humanity is not meant to live by bread alone, but by the every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. Get thee behind me, Satan. He continued to meditate. Ego came back again and said, yo, check this out. Listen, we know you a bad dude. I started quoting scripture to him. Because, that's how they try to get you, Try to get you with the stuff you love. That's how the ego comes. He said, listen, that you can throw yourself off this cliff and prove that the angels would take care of you, at least you dash your foot against the stone. Go ahead and do it. You're a great dude, man. You were bad. Woo-hoo, you're bad. Jesus, Yeshua said, listen, get thee behind me. I shall not tempt the Lord thy God. In other words, the ego was trying to get him to be a show-off. The ego was trying to separate him and say, you're special. You're above all people. He was trying to embellish the egocentricity and saying, you're special. You're bigger than everyone. Go ahead and show them how bad you are. He said, get thee behind me. And finally, the ego's like, this dude is, I can't get to him. Came back again. He lifted him and showed him all the stuff of the world. And said, if you bow before me, you can have all that you can see. All of it. You can have all the power. You can have all the material riches. You can have everything if you will bow before me. And Jesus said, in substance, I am here more for God than for that. Now the codes, these beginning codes are one, he did not yield to the suggestion of personal power. There's only one power, that's the power of God. There's no personal power and there is no personal good. There's only one good and there's only one power, and that's the power of God. It may flow through us, but we don't own it. So he said, in substance, I'm not bowing to personal power. You see that in the world. You see egomaniacs trying to have personal power, manipulating over people and countries and continents and colonialism. You see the ramifications of that kind of egocentricity. He said, in substance, I'm not turning the stone to bread. I'm living directly from God. And then he overcame the temptation of being special, exceptional, yes. Example, yes, but not special. God doesn't make any special people. God makes unique individuals. We're all unique expressions of infinite potential, each with the capacity to reflect and to reveal the infinite of which Jesus was the example of. So this kind of specialness creates the system of racism and bigotry and homophobia and superiority consciousness that sweeps nations and creates all kinds of waves of destruction on humanity. I'm better than those people. Those people aren't human. I can kill them. I can bomb them. They're not human. This kind of destructive behavior. The ego was trying to bait Jesus into this kind of dynamic. You're special. He said, no, I shall not tempt God. And then when he showed him that he could have all of this. And you've seen the rise and the downfall of people who have personal power and a lot of money and materialism. And you see the rise and fall of these individuals who have not submitted their soul to the power and the presence and the love of God, you see. And he said, no, I'm here for God, you see. And so as we are moving through our growth, development, and unfoldment, we're not putting down harmonizing prosperity. We're not putting down perfect health. We're not putting down supernal confidence. We're not putting down the feeling tone of all of our needs met, all of our legitimate needs being manifested in our picture. We're not putting down all of that. We're just saying none of that comes before our conscious awareness of our oneness with the presence and living our life to represent the presence according to our uniqueness. Those are living codes. That because the world will bait you and suggest to you that your happiness lies in the world of appearances, the world of effects, circumstances, personal power, manipulation, materialism, gross consumerism. The world will bait you into thinking that will provide some kind of joy for your life, of which you already know on a soul level that is not true. That your joy and your love and your peace and your harmony comes from your conscious recognition and unification consciously with the presence that is never an absence. These are dynamic codes. And then he goes on to give you some powerful codes. He said in substance, if you really want to be my disciple, if you want to be the disciple of my teachings, they shall know you are my disciple by how you love one another. Yes. He didn't say by how you love and respect me. Right. He said how you love one another. I know you love me. You love the miracles. You love the healings. All of that. But how do you love one another? How do you love one another? If you are a disciple of the teachings, then you fall in love with each other when it's hard. You fall in love with each other when you disagree. You fall in love with each other when you have different perceptions of the same issue. You fall in love with each other. That's how you know that you are the disciple of the teachings of Yeshua ben Joseph. That's a code. That's a code. And then he goes on to say, you know, that there is a power in forgiveness 70 times 7. Do you realize that on a daily basis, there are annoyances, there are people that cut you off in traffic, there are all kinds of things going on, and unless there is a 70 times 7 a way of life for forgiveness, that toxicity builds up in you. And it begins to coagulate as toxic chemicals. It begins to coagulate as a fog in your mind. It begins to coagulate so that you react to something out there that's really been built up within you from a lack of forgiveness. He said in substance, forgive them, for they know not what they do. This is a code. So you have loving one another. You have the code of forgiveness as a way of living, so that ultimately there is a frequency that begins to rise up within you. And you begin to rise in this supernal awareness of your oneness with the power and the presence and the love that is so magnificent and so beautiful. You're not seeking to get something from the world. You are seeking to be something for the world. These are dynamic codes, genius codes for your resurrection. Feel into what I'm saying here under the words for a moment. Under the words, under the words, under the words. Under the words. Take a breath here. You know, I just came back from a week at what is called Bible Cybernaut. It's a week of intense meditation by which you're placed in a chamber. I didn't see sunlight for the last 7 days. You're in a chamber, and you have polygraph machine on you. You have instruments on you. You have brainwave instruments on you, and you are going into meditation, and you're getting moment by moment feedback. You're getting 50 inputs per second on where you are in your consciousness, and it's a moment by moment feedback, and it's intense, and it pinpoints areas in your own life that's primarily hidden from you, in which you go in your meditation after you read your polygraph, and you go in and you do deep forgiveness of other people, of yourself, so that you can be clear. And I can remember, like, at the last day I was in the chamber, and my mind started thinking about, you know, and first, you're in there a long time. Sometimes you go in at 9 o'clock in the morning, you don't get out till 2 o'clock in the morning. And you go home, then you come back the next day, 11 hours later. It's a very intense program. And so near the last day, I'm in the chamber, and my mind starts to think about, okay, I got to catch a flight. The driver's going to pick me up at 4:50 a.m. I got to drive 2 hours to the airport. Not me driving, but the driver is driving 2 hours to the airport. I got to catch the plane on time so I can get back to Los Angeles, get some hours of sleep so that I can come to Agape to do these 3 services. My mind is running this, like, you know, and so my consciousness starts to shrink, because I'm thinking all of this stuff about the future. How am I going to do this? I don't want to be late. I don't want to miss the plane. And all of a sudden, through the computer, Ram Dass pops through. And he's smiling at me. And he goes, "Be here now." Like this. Seriously, he smiled and said, "Be here now." And I said, "Oh, I'm way into the future. I'm way thinking about how am I going to make the plane? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that?" And then suddenly I brought my attention back to the present moment. And in that present moment, all was well. My consciousness expanded again. And when we looked at the brainwaves later, Dr. Hart said, you know, you broke your previous records of highs in that particular moment. And I became aware that the future would take care of itself if I just stayed in that moment, that all is well, you see. This reminds me, as I like to say oftentimes on a particular service such as Easter, when you look at Yeshua ben Joseph there, supposedly on the cross during the moment of crucifixion, and he's got the 2 thieves to his right and his left, and one is representing the past and one is representing the future. The one in the past say, you know, what did we do in substance? You know, what did we do to get here? And the one in the future is saying, what's going to happen to us? And Jesus says, in substance, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. I'm not going to be tempted by the past. I'm not going to be tempted by the future. Right here, right now. Right here, right now. Take a breath. In that moment, right there, you felt you had enough oxygen. You did not think, if everyone breathes at the same time, we're going to run out of air. You weren't worried about it. So your resurrection, your all needs met, your healing is coming in that feeling tone. Today thou shalt be with me, this moment in paradise. Be here now. This moment, this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment. Third code. Bless those. Bless your enemies. Love your enemies. This is what he said. This is hard stuff. This is a code. Bless those that curse you. Pray for those who despitefully use you. And then he goes on a little bit deeper. He says, do good for those that harm you. Oh, that's a tough one. That's deep. I mean, I've said before, that's not even natural. I'm going to do good for someone who's trying to do harm for me? These are codes. Love one another, forgive as a way of life, and bless and do good for those who you would call the enemy. Ooh! I've said before, sometimes send them some money. Why? Because they're forcing you to pray. They're making you pray. But I'm not saying let them know you're sending them money. Just send $1 in the mail and make it anonymous. Just, and don't get caught. Don't let anybody know, that the $1's coming from you or the 10 or the 20 or whatever it is. But in other words, you're putting out, turning the other cheek doesn't mean you're turning the cheek and being hit again. It means you're giving another form of energy for the energy that's coming in your direction. You're turning the other cheek. Someone gives you negative energy, you turn the other cheek and you give them affirmative energy. These are codes for resurrection. If you love one another as I have loved you, is what he said. If you forgive as a way of living, and if you forgive the so-called enemy, you will be pulled out of the world as it appears to be, and you will live from the dynamic higher dimension of infinite potential, and you will not be touched. And then you can resurrect. You will not be your incorruptible spirit. In other words, he was the primary example. If it doesn't matter what they say about you, it doesn't even matter what they do to you, they cannot stop your destiny. They cannot block the flow of your good. He was the primary example. Now, if he can do that, listen, you can at least forgive the person that cut you off in traffic. You can at least forgive the person that annoys you. You can at least do good in your mind for the individuals that disagree with you. These are genius Jesus codes that will allow you to resurrect. We know epigenetically now that yes, you may have a particular gene towards a particular dis-ease of the body temple, but that gene must have the proper condition to be activated. Just because your mother or your father, your grandparents had a particular disease and you have that possibility within your genome, doesn't mean it has to be activated. You have to have the condition for it to be activated. So if in fact you are rising up in love, you are rising up in forgiveness, you're rising up and blessing the so-called enemies in your life. If you are praying and meditating, if you are throwing yourself open to the Spirit of the living God, the condition for the activation of the disease frequency can't be activated. And if it is activated, it can be healed. That's called resurrection. It can be transmuted. That's called resurrection. It can be dissolved. That's called resurrection. So today, these are genius codes for your resurrection. Jesus already did his thing. He did it. Celebrate it. Yes, love him. Yes, absolutely love and celebrate him. But he didn't come here for him. He came here for you. He believed in your dynamic, which is why he said, is it not written, ye are gods, and greater things than these shall ye do? There weren't that many people on the planet at the time that he lived, so he fed 5,000 people. He did some things, but we got 8 billion people on the planet. And there's still wars going on the planet. There's still bombs being made. There's still this destruction going on. There's homelessness. There's rainforest dissolving. There's climate change. There's all of this happening. Greater things must be done. And it's by the power of the resurrecting Spirit within all of us. This is our Easter. Yes, we celebrate Yeshua. But this is our Easter time. I'm always reminded at this particular time of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years imprisoned and who retooled his spirit and retooled the spirit of the young people that were placed in jail with him after the Soweto uprising and who wanted to kill the guards and escape. And he said, oh no, we're going to go to the library. We're going to retool our spirit so when we take over this country, we'll be the proper individuals to do so. And what did he do? He blessed his enemies. He took the same people that abused him and brought them into the government with him in many various ways. He was the evolutionary the tip of the evolutionary spear to bring into the planet an idea of forgiveness and love on a universal scale. We need that now, by the way, and universal scale. And then it's jumped over to Rwanda, where individuals were having to forgive and bless people who had murdered their families. So that there is within the newest sphere of the planet this idea of forgiving the unforgivable. This is the time on the planet where we have to popularize peace, popularize love, popularize forgiveness, popularize the oneness of each and every one of us. So when Yeshua ben Joseph moved his ego aside and said, I'm not special, I am a unique emanation of God, he put into the field that we are not to in any way, shape, or form move into the consciousness of superiority one over the other, but we are all unique emanations emerging from a presence and a power and a love of God. This is our time. Say it, this is our time. This is our moment. I am willing to be resurrected in the Spirit. This is my Easter. This is my resurrection day. This is my renewal day. This is my regeneration day. Somebody scream about it. Just kind of give the person next to you a high five, a touch and agree. Touch and agree with each other. So that you hear these inner codes. One code. We're not meant to live by bread alone. We're not here to just manipulate. You see. We're not here to exalt our ego over anyone else. We're not here to live a gross materialism. We are to love one another. We're to live a constant, every single day, every single night, clearing out our mind and let forgiveness reign supreme. We are to bless the so-called enemy. These are codes for regeneration. And if you are to be a disciple of the teachings, which means you are to be a practitioner of the teachings, not necessarily a licensed practitioner, but one who practices. I tell you right now, you will be free. And the mental consternations and the emotional upheavals that take over your life, you will begin to witness them as they pass by. Ooh, there goes that anger. There goes that fear. Ooh, there it is. Ooh, there goes that, whatever it is. Ooh, it's not me. It's just coming to pass. It's just coming to pass. I'm the onlooker. I'm bigger than it. It begins to transmute itself through my observation and my intention to be more myself. Hear that? Your intention to be more yourself is greater than your intention to manipulate the external world. Okay. When that happens, Resurrection Day, baby. And you shall roll the stone away. And then you'll discover there was no stone, but your beliefs. And I love saying this. I love saying this on Easter because there's always a part in the Holy Writ that's left out. And one of those things that was left out was just two words. That when Yeshua and Joseph rose up and said, I'm still alive, he said, ta-da! Ta-da! Yeah, I got some scars. We all got scars, but ta-da! I am alive. Woo! Say it, ta-da! I am alive. Ta-da! I exist. Ta-da! I got more to give. Ta-da! I got more to contribute. Ta-da! I got more to contribute. I have artist perceptivity. I have spiritual discernment. It is my resurrection day. Feel it in your bones. 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 It is Easter. Remember, as I started, it's always the Sunday after the full moon, after the vernal equinox, after the spring equinox. Has nothing to do with on Friday he was crucified, and 3 days later, Monday, he arose, but we celebrate on the Sunday. Come on, let's give up the superstitious stuff. And let's stand before they imprinted all of that onto him. He was an avatar, an awakened being, that they imprinted all of this stuff around him. But he knew himself, and he believed and believes in you. You. He believes in you. You are the light that lights up every being that comes to the planet. That's what you are. Say, I am the light. I am the love. I am the intelligence. I am the beauty. I am setting it free right now. And so it is. Let's scream about it. Let us turn within. You can say that. Woo-hoo. That's where Michael Jackson got it from. Woo-hoo. I'm the nut. Anyway, we turn within. We turn within, and as the reading indicated, we examine our beliefs and we notice where we are blocking a new flow of intelligence by limited beliefs. We examine our beliefs and we see where we have been consciously and unconsciously hypnotized into a limited understanding of the teachings of the great master teacher. And we open ourselves up to new insights and new revelations, that we transcend religiosity and come to a greater awareness of spirituality. That all of the power and all of the presence and all of the love that there is always closer than our breathing and always nearer than our hands and feet. It's our life. It's our life. Oh, just take your hands and just place them over your heart space. Let your heart space just be open. And just think about all the beings that you love right now, whether they're on this side of the veil or the other. All the beings that love you, whether they're on this side of the veil or the other, and just feel that love. And understand that that's just a small portion of how God loves you. I heard Reverend Joanne say one day that the Old Testament is about how we love God, and the New Testament is how much God loves us.
That's right.
And so we enter into the space of, oh, we're so loved by the presence. You never have to wonder if you're loved. You never have to wonder if you're appreciated by the presence. Oh my God, we just feel the love. God is love. And so we hear, if you want to be my disciple, how much do you love one another? So we enter into this feeling tone of divine love. Our heart is open. We recognize this presence that is everywhere. We feel so at one with in this moment that every breath that we take becomes a spiritual talisman for remembrance that we're one with the power and the presence and the love of God. And as we're recognizing this and feeling a divine sense of unity with it, the very word that is being spoken is the vibrational frequency of divine order, divine harmony, infinite peace, pure joy, ecstasy, and bliss, harmonizing prosperity and abundance, wellness, and well-being. And I speak it with the authority of one knowing that all that there is God. That everything that is a manifestation of the only thing that is. I speak it for each and every one of us today that we may be free. That we may be free today, liberated from limited points of view, limited perceptions, limited ideations, superstitious thoughts. That we may rise up in the spirit of renewal and regeneration and begin again. Oh my God, how great thou art. How infinite and divine is thy perfect presence within us. It's being set free now. I speak the word for each and every one of us. The body temple hears the word. It reforms itself around the spiritual idea of us. It's called health. It's called harmony, wholeness, wellness, well-being, healing, revealing of our innate wholeness. Will you be made whole? Yes. Will you be made whole? Yes. Will you accept your wholeness? Yes. Oh, the mental body is becoming so clear now. Confusion is being replaced with clarity. Will you be made whole? Yes. Will you be made whole? Yes. Will you accept your wholeness? Yes. The emotional body is being purified right now. It's being purified so that we become a vehicle of love and dynamic peace. Will you be made whole? Yes. Will you be made whole? Yes. Will you accept your wholeness? Yes. Into this dynamic, yes, I speak. Yes. That from this moment on, every single thing is working together for our individual and for our collective good. As we rise high in the awareness of our oneness, we expand our consciousness into this field. What we want for ourselves, we want for everyone. Okay? What we want for ourselves, we don't want to be special. We want the good for everyone. Because there is no private good. There's only one good everywhere in its fullness. So we do not rise up in specialness and think that I'm all that. We think everyone is all that. Just allow your consciousness to expand that everything you want for yourself, you want all of your needs met. You want love and peace and harmony. But you want it for everyone. Therefore, you're not blocking your good through limited thinking or thinking that the good is limited. It's everywhere. Oh, I'm going to stop now. Just say, I am. I am. I am. What thou art? What thou art, I am. Now you understand what he meant when he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. You can't come except through the great I am presence. Come on, help them feel that. Help them, choir.
There's a new territory that I never saw before, like the fire of transformation breaking through my core.
I can see the light of day in this new territory. It's my strength, it is my way. I said this new territory, it's my strength, so let us pray. Well, I pray that you will see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Well, I pray that you will see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Wake up, wake up, wake up and see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Wake up, wake up, wake up and see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Say yes, and see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Let go, and see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Forgive, and see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Let go, and see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Say yes, and see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Say there's a new territory that I never saw before. It's like the fire of transformation breaking through my core. Well, I pray that you will see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything.
Turn within and feel the inner celebration of life, cascading from the depth of your being and expanding your awareness of wanting the highest and best for everyone. It is in this field that we pray for and about these individuals who are on our prayer list today, including those who have called our prayer ministry this past week and month, and those that are calling and writing even now.